me have a sip of water. Alright. Hello. This is Caleb Krebs, and this is the internet's most busiest internet nerd. This episode I'm going to be talking about Uncut Gems that came out in 2019, a crime thriller film directed by Josh and Ben Safdie, or also known as the Safdie brothers. It stars Adam Sandler, a Jewish American jeweler and a gambling addict in the New York Diamond District, who must retrieve an expensive gem he purchased to pay off his debts. Sorry, I'm burping. I don't really have any notes. I'm just kind of gonna freestyle it. I've watched this movie probably 3 or 4 times now, probably like 5 times now. And it's great. You can watch it constantly and learn new things, or learn little things. It's interesting because the film, Adam Sandler usually plays the same roles, and this one isn't too far away from his typical man-child role. I'm not going to go over the plot because I assume you've already watched it, but in the movie, he is he's a husband who's married and has a mistress. I assume they're divorced, or I don't know. It's never really directly talked about, but he has a mistress because he has an alternate apartment that he lives in because he doesn't live with his wife anymore. And he's usually surrounded by youthful people. He goes to things like the weekend club, and he gambles, and he's constantly gambling, actually, and he just doesn't make any of the right decisions. Well, I guess he does, but it's all a gamble. And sort of I see it as like he's Peter Pan, and he's stuck on the island, and he doesn't want to grow up. So I think of not Peter Pan, of freaking Pinocchio. He's on Pleasure Island, and he doesn't want to leave, and he doesn't want to take adult responsibilities. And I'm like, and seeing that they approached him in 2008, he was still doing like the man-child roles, or that was like the end of his man-child roles. He came out with Grown Ups. Let me see when it came out. Grown Ups. That came out in 2010. So Grown Ups was really the thing that, he was still doing man-child, but it was more like father, man-child roles. So when they approached him in 2008, he was definitely still doing the man-child roles during this time. Or it's the end of them. I'm kind of freestyling. There's so much things to say about the film. One, it's so, aside from the story, there's not really, there's a lot to say about the story, but it's kind of straightforward. It's sort of a play off, God, what's that one movie? California Split? No, what is it called? There's a gambling movie that I watched recently that seems so familiar with, and it just seems like it's an anti-gambling campaign. Not campaign, but like message, and saying not to gamble. And there's not much from that, and it's interesting because it's basically the gambler's fallacy. They think that because they win once, that they have a chance to win again. And that's not the gambler's fallacy. I'll look at the definition right now. The gambler's fallacy, also known as Monte Carlo fallacy or the fallacy of maturity of chances, is the erroneous belief that if a particular event occurs more frequently than normal during the past, it is less likely to happen in the future, or vice versa, when it has otherwise been established that the probability of such events does not depend on what happened in the past. Basically, he's not he doesn't think about losing. He thinks he's gonna win, and then next time is gonna be the chance to win. And he's not wrong. For the most of the time, he wins, but he did it in such an immature way, and it sort of suggests like why he's not a good father, and how takes money from his family. Technically, his family. It's not. They're not blood, and he's not even. I don't even think the guy's a Jew either. I think he is. I don't know, but he's not blood. But really, I want to talk about kind of the energy they brought forward, because you can see it in Good Time, which is their previous film, or even in Heaven Knows What. It Heaven Knows What is an amazing film, and they follow a woman who was addicted to something. What was she? She was addicted to drugs, and they were friends with Josh and Benny Safdie, and they asked her, "We'll pay you to write your life memoir." And she writes her life memoir, and they decide to make a movie about it. And she has a very chaotic life, and she makes a lot of mistakes. But what I'm saying is that they managed to capture the energy very well. And it's only, I think Good Time is probably their worst. Like, Uncut Gems is very anxious, but I feel like Good Time's way worse. And Good Time keeps things on like Good Time keeps things on like a 9 the entire time, while Uncut Gems has a flow to it. Give me 1 second. The energy for Uncut Gems is what I'm trying to say. It was amazing, because it was almost like they played with suspense. They made sure they wanted to plant the seed, the idea that he wins, right? And it's very early when we discover the gem, that the gem is like everyone who looks into it is taken over by it. So it's something of value, and so it's already like he won there. Then he has a famous basketball player who comes in, and he bets on the game, and he hits really big, right? So right off the bat, he's already won twice. And then he kind of loses when they don't get their gem back, but that's not the point. The seed has been planted. So by the end of the film, when they're gambling, or when he's gambling on the game and they're all locked in the airlock, the doors in between, we know he's going to win. And it's the perfect suspense, because the sequence doesn't take too long. It's not even 10-15 minutes long, and it feels like it's an hour. It feels like you're there. They've been in that airlock the entire game, and it's so interesting, because I didn't think he was gonna lose. I'm like, no, he's gonna win. I already know he's gonna win. So how is it gonna end? And that was mine. Assumption the entire time, and I think that's perfect suspense, and I think that's a perfect way to. That's why people think it's so anxiety driven. I don't think it's anxiety driven. I think it's suspense played out. How do I say this? Suspense played out in modern terms with sprinkled anxiety, because you anxiety is like you're almost. Let me look up the definition right now. The definition of anxiety says a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about the imminent event or of something of uncertain outcome. For me, it was all of those things, but of certain outcome. We knew the outcome. We knew he was gonna win, and the headshot just sort of sealed it all. It was almost like the wax stamp on the envelope, and I really loved it. And that's sort of, I'm sort of referencing how you should make a film as intimate as a letter. I think the ending kill is very significant, because Howard, I'm trying to think of an alternate reality where he isn't shot. My thing is, then it becomes a tragedy. And the tragedy means it's inevitable that he was gonna die. And we would know from the beginning. An event causing great suffering, destruction, or distress, such as a serious accident, crime, or natural catastrophe. That's a definition of a tragedy. And I think it becomes a tragedy because everyone's rooting for him. And it's almost like we're strapped, because we are strapped in the roller coaster with him the entire time. And just because we don't like him, or just because he's not a good person, we don't have a choice. We're glued onto the screen. We're forced to we're forced to enjoy this character whether we like him or not. And naturally, as humans, as viewers, as film watchers, we just gravitate towards the characters. And I guess some people gravitate to the side characters, but that's not the point. In literature, I guess you can gravitate towards side characters more. Um, but in film, when you're forced to follow one character, it doesn't matter. You can have a film like Chungking Express and have it switch completely to a whole different story, and we'll still follow that one character. It just depends who we point the camera at, honestly. And that's the only reason. What I'm saying is that that's sort of why it's a tragedy, is because although he's a bad guy, we're rooting for him the entire time. And my thing is that people enjoy tragedies. I think we've sort of moved away from happy endings. As much as I say that, we have the Marvel movies, but in like Star Wars and how she became a Skywalker and things like that, like those fulfilled a need, right? Those type of films fulfill a certain type of human need to feel happiness in a story. But I think for the most part, the ones we enjoy are the ones that are more based in reality. And it seems like stories that are more based in reality have a tragic ending. Or not a tragic ending, or a bittersweet ending. And this was not bittersweet, it was definitely tragic. I'm gonna keep this light so more people. Give me 1 second. There's a couple more things I want to mention. One, I really like the idea of the gem. I want to talk about the gem and I guess the cinematography, and I'll kind of wrap it up. The gem is really awesome because it's just a little bit out of reality with the powers that the quote unquote powers that it provides, or provides that it emanates almost. Anyone who looks at it is absolutely becomes obsessed with it. And that's sort of the, you could say, MacGuffin, the thing that ignites the story in a direction. And a MacGuffin a MacGuffin is a decent word, but I usually don't know what the MacGuffin is. But it definitely ignites the story forward. I like it because it's completely based in reality, but it's just pulled out of reality. It makes us suspend our disbelief just enough so that we can learn something. And I think too many films just try to be dramas based in reality, and those always win their awards, like Moonlight, or like, I don't know, just films like that. And don't get me wrong, they're good and they're writing the story and the character arcs are good. But a story like this that's just pulls you out of reality just a little bit. To me, it seems like people gravitate towards more, and not only gravitates more, but will remember more. I promise you, people will talk about Uncut Gems more than Moonlight. Just because I know what people watch, honestly. The second, I want to talk about their cinematography, because I've been following these people for a long time. They've did short. I used to watch Casey Neistat all the time, and they're heavily associated. They were on the same floor as Casey Neistat for years. They have plenty of short films with him. He produced their first two features, right? So he's very much intertwined with them, and I've known. What I'm saying is I've known about them for a little bit. And in their early films, in all of their films actually, they have these really, really tight close-ups, and you're there, you're in their face, you're in the story the entire time. Uncut Gems is one that really moved away from that, but it's still significantly there. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because it feels like That was the main, for me, it was the main attribute, characteristic of the film, whatever you want to say, of the film that gave it this anxious energy, because you had nowhere else to look, really. It was just like, look here. And when you're forced to look at certain things and instead of letting the viewers choose for themselves, that's it. They're more strapped in. It becomes more anxious. You're like on a roller coaster with extra straps. You're like, why would I need extra? Why would I need extra seatbelts and things like that? What's gonna happen? And that's sort of the uncertain outcome. And that sort of closeness does that, and when they do it constantly. And Good Time is a perfect example of it. But I love it. I love that type of. I love the way they cover. They do their general coverage of scenes. I'm kind of just ranting now, but it's a great film, and there's so many things to talk about. I say there's so many things, but I want to keep it short. I I notice with these films, or with these reviews, I'm really just trying to get my 2 cents out there. I don't want to repeat what other people have been saying. So I guess the goal is to, with these at least film analysis, provoke new ideas and new discussions. And that's at least what I'm hoping to do. Because I can talk about the film and I can break down his character and I can break down the story and the decisions he makes and like, oh, look at this shot. But I can point to 10 other YouTube channels with better quality videos, more subscribers, and a lot more time. And that's probably their job to do that too. For me, I just want something that's very open and more. It's sort of a medium ground for casual and serious moviegoers to kind of come in and discuss with each other and kind of understand each other. I guess that's kind of the goal, what I'm trying to go towards with these. I really like this is the last thing I'm going to say, the intertwine of, like, because it's very much a fictional movie, but they base it in reality with the basketball games, with what's his, I always forget his name, Kevin Garnett. And I like that because one, then it becomes a period piece, and there's tons of different period pieces, but not like this. So one, my thing is like, if you think of you can categorize the top 100 period pieces, like films that really capture like a certain time period, you wouldn't think of this one, but this one has its rightful place in it, and I really like that, and that's just something to mention. With that being said, wait, are you joking? Uncut Gems? Wow, that's so interesting. And Uncut Gems was released in Europe as Click 2. And the story of Click 2 is of a man child who doesn't want to become a man. And he goes through he's basically permanently stuck on Pleasure Island. That's the remote, because he uses it like a drug. And because of that, he skips huge periods of his life. And by the end, he learns that's just family. But he doesn't learn that at all here. At no point that's not even brought up. I just think that's funny because it's called Click 2. Anyways, definitely, if I was supposed to rate this, without a doubt, I can give this a 9 out of 10. Because it has everything from intimacy to a wide reach. Because I know a lot of people who have watched this film, but also there's so many different intimate elements in the film that if you knew the directors, you would know. For example, the whole Jewish thing is purely based off of their Jewish background, and the gambler idea was because their father was a gambler. Or no, I don't think he was a gambler. He was a dealer in the Diamond District, and I think he might have gambled on the side, and it was sort of based off of their father's life. And I think that's amazing. And then also, it has this wide reach that anyone could watch it, and everyone knows who Adam Sandler is, or at least Americans do. And it did that. The runtime was amazing. The cast was amazing. The cinematography, the costumes, the colors, the the story, the writing, the pre-production, everything about it, the post-production, the everyone's response loves it. There's some people who don't like it, but I don't know why people don't like it. Um, they really have these amazing, grimy, character-oriented films, and I think everyone should watch them. I think you should start with Good Time because Good Time is a very good time, and I think everyone should give Vampire Dude from Twilight a second chance because he's a great actor. And then you should watch Uncut Gems, and then you should go backwards from there. You should go Heaven Knows What, Daddy Long Legs, and then The Pleasure of Being Robbed. With that being said, this has been Caleb Krebs. Go check out Uncut Gems featuring Adam Sandler, directed by the Safdie brothers. It's an amazing film. I hope I brought in new ideas to talk about. Let me know what you guys think in the description, in the comments. Tell me what you guys want to hear more. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. I just need to know. Alright, that's it. See you guys. Peace.